Welcome to the channel if you're new, or if you're not, I am so happy you're here either way. Today we'll be making baked oatmeal recipes. I actually will be showing you 7 recipes here, a base recipe plus 6 flavor variations, and I have put it all in a free ebook if you want it. The recipes are also linked below on my website for free, but if you want it all compiled in one place, there is a link to download that free ebook as well. First up, let's go through the baked oatmeal base recipe. In a large bowl, combine rolled oats, cinnamon, baking powder, and salt. In a separate bowl, we're gonna mix our wet ingredients, which is eggs, milk of choice. I used almond milk, maple syrup, butter, and vanilla extract. Then fold your dry ingredients into your wet. Spray down a 9x9 baking dish. I am using these large 9-inch dishes today, but you can use anything you have at home as long as it's about this size. Transfer your oatmeal mixture into the dish and bake. You will want to let it get slightly browned and crisp on the edges. You know that it's done when a knife comes out mostly clean. It doesn't need to be completely free of the mixture, but it shouldn't be soggy. If it is, it's got to bake a little bit longer. Allow to cool for about 10 minutes and serve, or you can also let it cool completely and refrigerate and then serve and reheat in the mornings when you're ready for breakfast. It will last you all week. I love the texture of baked oatmeal because it is heartier than a single bowl of oatmeal made over the stove or in the microwave. It's not mushy like porridge at all. It's more like a muffin or a baked good. It's chewy and filling, and the butter adds a nice savory richness that is so satisfying. This base recipe is an amazing addition to your weekly meal prep. You can serve it plain. It is already delicious and sweetened, and then you can add toppings when you reheat it. So add any fruit or nuts or yogurt, whatever you want. Have fun with it. All right, now that we've got the base recipe down, let's start getting creative with some variations. First up, a berry oatmeal bake. For this one, we're gonna make the base oatmeal bake recipe just like before. The dry ingredients are the same. But for the wet ingredients, I am using honey instead of maple syrup and coconut oil instead of butter. Baked oatmeal without some kind of fat can take on a rubbery texture, which is not ideal, but it doesn't have to be butter. Coconut oil worked great here. Of course, a medley of mixed berries also gets mixed in before it goes into the oven. Wow, this almost tastes like a berry muffin. I'm serious. It's sweet, but not too sweet, while also being hearty and delicious. This was one of my favorites of the day, but my most favorite was actually a tie between 2 others, one of which was carrot cake. Let's make it now. The main difference with this recipe is that I add ground ginger to the dry ingredients base, and instead of almond milk, I used a mix of almond and canned coconut milk in the wet ingredients. I also subbed 1 egg with softened cream cheese, which is most certainly not a mistake, but you could totally use 2 eggs and skip the cream cheese if you want. Fold your dry ingredients into the wet and then add in your mix-ins. For carrot cake, I am going with finely shredded carrots, chopped pecans or your nuts of choice, and raisins. All of the essential carrot cake flavors, of course. Transfer your mixture into your dish and bake. Wow, this tastes more indulgent than it actually is. It's moist from the carrots, rich and comforting, and it almost tastes like a carrot cake muffin. It is fluffy and nicely spiced with fun texture from the nuts, carrots, and raisins. Highly recommended for a fall breakfast. And speaking of fall, we couldn't make this episode without doing a pumpkin oatmeal bake. For this one, I'm adding pumpkin pie spice to those dry ingredients, store-bought, or you can totally make your own pumpkin pie spice using cinnamon, ginger, cloves, and nutmeg. For the wet ingredients, I start with canned pumpkin puree, but because of that puree, I only need 1 egg. I also use coconut oil for this recipe instead of butter. The dry go into the wet along with mix-in. I used chopped pecans inside and on top for this one. It all goes into the dish and it's ready to bake. Yum! The smell of those toasted nuts on top is so good. It's like fall when you walk into the kitchen. Again, this one is moist, but it's also almost creamy, like a bread pudding texture or pumpkin pie filling. The pecans add the perfect crunch for this fall spiced breakfast. If you're enjoying these recipes so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more recipes and content. Also, all of my recipes are always linked in the description for easy access on my free website, which offers hundreds of healthy recipes and print-friendly options. Next up, another fall favorite, my apple cinnamon oatmeal bake. I decided to make an apple mixture for this one. In a bowl, combine flour, brown or coconut sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and salt. Mix to combine and set aside. Then chop your apples and toss them in a little bit of lemon juice, and then toss the whole thing in the dry mixture to coat. Since I am not cooking these apples beforehand, smaller cut will bake through best. Now we're gonna make that base recipe as is. You know that one by now, the dry and the wet. And then this time I fold in that apple mixture to the batter along with some chopped walnuts. Transfer to your baking dish and bake. Yum! This one is so delicious, it's almost like breakfast apple pie. It is satisfying, sweet, but not overly so. It is a breakfast after all, but it's really a fun twist with satisfying textures and flavors from the sweet and tart softened apples and crunchy savory pecans. Coating the apples in that sugar mixture up front helps to draw the juices out of the apples, which adds a natural sweetness to the entire dish. It is so good. Next up, a banana peanut butter oatmeal bake. Again, make your base oatmeal recipe. Dry ingredients are the same, but for the wet, I start with ripe banana, mashed, which contributes to binding, so I only need 1 egg. I went with honey for sweetener, and instead of butter, I used peanut butter for the fat. Oh yeah. Mix to combine, and I added in some peanuts for crunch. Transfer to your baking dish. I also like to slice some banana and place it on top for extra banana-y goodness and prettiness, of course. And why not add a few chopped peanuts too? Bake and enjoy. Wow. Peanut butter and banana is a classic combo for a reason. Their flavors complement each other so well, the sweet and savory, and you get a nice nutritional balance of fat, protein, and carbohydrates. It is a satisfying flavor combo, and in this baked oatmeal, yet again, it's like you are getting a delicious baked good as a nutritious breakfast. All right, we have come to the last oatmeal bake of the day, and perhaps we've saved the best for last, a cinnamon roll oatmeal bake. Mix your dry ingredients same as the base recipe. For the wet ingredients, sub 1 egg for softened cream cheese, optional again, but delicious. I also went with dairy milk here instead of almond, but anything works. And instead of maple syrup or honey, I used light brown sugar as my sweetener. You can also use coconut sugar, but I was going for authentic, rich cinnamon roll flavor here. For mix-ins, I add walnuts and raisins, both of which are optional in cinnamon rolls and optional in this oatmeal bake, of course. Once it's in the dish, it's ready to bake. Now, we couldn't make a cinnamon roll oatmeal bake without a cinnamon roll glaze. To make your glaze, mix together softened cream cheese and softened butter until smooth. I used a hand mixer, but you could use a whisk and some muscle. And then add vanilla extract and powdered sugar and mix until integrated. You can then add milk, non-dairy or dairy, doesn't matter, about 1 tablespoon at a time until you get just the right texture. You want it to be thick but pourable. Drizzle that glaze all over your oatmeal bake and enjoy. So I mentioned that I had a tie for my top oatmeal bake, and this was the other one that was my favorite. I mean, literally, we had the filming team taste it, and the consensus was it tastes just like a cinnamon roll, and it actually does. It has this doughy, comforting, carby goodness, and it's almost like the middle of a slightly undercooked cinnamon roll in the best way. Oh yeah. All of these oatmeal bakes are a perfect meal preppable breakfast for fall. They are so comforting, warm, delicious, and best of all, easy. I also wanted to let you know you can double all of these recipes to make a larger 9x13 oatmeal bake, and as a reminder, all of the recipes are available for free, linked below on the website. website, and I've created a free ebook if you want all the recipes in one place, easily accessible, with all of the modifications that I've talked about there for you to review. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you'll let me know in the comments if you give any of these oatmeal bakes a try. I'll be back soon with a brand new episode. Happy fall! And remember, it's all a matter of mind over munch.